Hello and welcome to the More Cheese Less Whiskers podcast. My name's Dean Jackson, and today we have a return guest, Jeff Moore from California. And Jeff has been a longtime friend. He's been around since the very, very earliest days of the I Love Marketing podcast. He was one of the early guests on More Cheese Less Whiskers, and Jeff has had really a lifetime of experience in the seafood business. If you bought some kind of protein, if you bought it in a restaurant, it probably came through Jeff if it was seafood. Now, he's got a really great experience of working a long time with a company, and then moving after that company was sold, moving into opening up a new operation, and very quickly building a substantial book of business, largely on the relationships that he's developed. We talked about the value of an after unit based business. And he's really capitalizing on all of that. We talked about some of the things that he could potentially do. And then we talked about the before unit. We talked about how what he has is visible prospects and a very limited, finite number of them. And this is the kind of thing that's absolutely true for many B2B type of situations where there are only a handful or a finite manageable number, less than 1,000 of who you need to approach to be successful. And we talked about how to establish a relationship with those people and look to make inroads in that over a long period of time. So this is going to be a great conversation. I think you're going to enjoy the insights. Enjoy this episode. Here we go.
Jeff Moore.
Dean Jackson.
Wow, reunited and it feels so good.
So good.
That's it.
I just want to do this. He's Dean Jackson. I'm Jeff
That's
Moore,
right.
and this is the More Cheese Less Whiskers podcast.
Thank you. I don't even need to do an introduction now. A step. That's perfect.
Oh,
We can just go right into it. Oh, my goodness. So it's early morning out there. You're in
7 a.m.
California?
Out here, yeah, California. And bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to do some evil schemes and experience your prolific profundity.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Don't hurt yourself.
That's all I got.
That's it.
Good night, everybody.
I hope you stretched. That's right.
I know.
So let's catch up because there's been a lot that's happened since last time you were on the More Cheese Less Whiskers podcast.
Yeah, and speaking of the last time, I want to thank you because after that podcast, I had somebody reach out to me from back in, I want to say Connecticut, and say, I want to talk to your wife. And I said, great. And
hey, wait a second. Yeah.
Yeah, right. That was, JJ Virgin, when she says, I want your wife. And I went, oh, sweet. She goes,
yeah,
to help with my son's college, applications. I'm like, oh man. All right. But, he, and so she worked with his son, and then he has been like this referral generating machine. He continues to share her to anybody that's got a high schooler that's looking.
Well, this is great.
Apply.
I mean,
yeah. So it was really, really cool. And College Prep Roadmap is, she's finally fully retired from her day job, so she's doing this full time, and it's been all word of mouth and for now, and we're starting to do a couple of things, including the 90-minute book funnel that we're going to start. So it's
I love it.
We're looking forward to that. Yeah. So thank you for that. That was very good.
You're
and she
welcome.
has worked with so like we said, she had worked with some financial guys and we're still tweaking that, but it's fun. She's making more money than she was when she was in working full time. So
wow, that's great.
Yeah. So as for me, actually,
enough about her. Let's talk about you.
Yeah, enough about her. Let's talk about me. But it's going on 2 years now, where I started with the company I'm with now. We had, going back to 2016, we had ended up selling our company, the seafood company, International Pacific, to our largest investor. And he took it over, and we did really, really well for a couple of years. And he owned the meat company that you and I have enjoyed, those steaks from West Coast Prime Meats. And so so they took it over. We kind of folded in. It was interesting, but it's a long story. But I was a seafood guy in the middle of a meat company, and while we did very well, we profited handsomely for a couple of years. I knew that was our focus, and so I found somebody to buy the company from him, a seafood company, and that in 2018 that happened. I orchestrated it. I was really happy.
Nice.
And within about 8 weeks, I went, oh no. I'm not staying here. I'm not staying here. I mean, you and I have talked, and you have been the champion of lifelong relationships, and it's and that was me. I mean, I've got national restaurant chains that I've had relationships for over 20 years and done.
Yes.
Done $500 million in sales. With a couple of accounts. And so I'm just like, this doesn't work. These guys are like very much a transaction, and when I hear somebody say the customer should know, and I go, they can say something after that, but I'm not listening.
Doesn't matter.
I'm like, I'm like, oh boy. And so ended up wanting to leave, orchestrating a move with a gentleman, lifelong relationship, 30 years, and ended up leaving in September 10th of 2018, left the company that, kind of was my thing for, the better part of almost 20 years, and came over to a company called Global Protein Group, which is a division of, you're going to love this name, Porky Products.
Okay, Porky Products.
Porky Products. And it's funny because I'll make the story real quick. The two gentlemen in Brooklyn, when they had a meat company back in the 50s, said, we need to start delivering to places. And they went out to find a truck, and they found this truck that was like $300, but it had this, and they were a different name of the company. They had this, but there was a big pig on the side of it.
Okay.
And so they go to the guy and they said, hey, how much is it going to cost to paint the truck and all this kind of stuff? And the guy goes, I can do it for $300. They go to their brother-in-law, who's the attorney, and says, how much would it cost to reincorporate or rename our company and change the corporation name? He goes, I can do it for $50. They go, great. We want to change the name to Porky Products.
That's the best.
Isn't it awesome? It's a family-owned, operated company. They do about $2 billion in sales, and they have a big trading division, which is they call it Porky Trading out here in the West. That does about $800 million, and they're pretty prolific. I mean, it's in Hawaii. They have a huge business in Hawaii where they're shipping 1,000 containers a year, and those are 40-foot containers that weigh about 40,000 pounds. So 1,000 containers a year. So remember Johnny Depp in Blow when he said, "Hey, if you did cocaine in the 1980s, there was an 80% chance it came from us." Well, if you're eating protein other than seafood in Hawaii, there's about an 85% chance it came from us.
Oh wow!
And so it's a big piece of business, and we have millions of pounds rolling on the road every week, and and I was the only seafood guy. I came in as the director of seafood and business development, and
nice.
And I got here and I was like, okay, well, I don't have any seafood to sell because I haven't bought any because it comes from around the world,
right?
And so I started selling chicken right away. Like I just called a relationship that I had and started selling chicken into Las Vegas and just growing. And then last summer I hear them say, as I'm just still the seafood guy, my identity is the seafood guy.
Right.
They go, yeah, we cornered the honeycomb tripe market.
Honeycomb
tripe. That's a sentence I never thought I'd hear, right? And so I go, okay.
Put that right up there with brown stinky tuna.
No, it's actually yeah. I mean, there's meat for eating and meat for selling, evidently, right? And so, I mean, these guys sell everything, blood, everything. I mean, it's amazing.
Wow.
What they'll do. Yeah. So I go, well, what'd you buy? Like 10, 15 loads? They looked at me like I was the dumbest guy on the road. They go, when you corner the market, you buy everything that's available in the market.
Oh my.
I'm like, whoa, that's like 52 loads of, like everything that was produced. And so me being the story guy, I start telling that story to my relationships. And they're going, oh, well, do you have any of this? Well, do you have this? And do you have that? And I'm telling you, Dean, we went, and I'm going way too fast, but when I came over here as the seafood guy, left the old company that didn't like relationships, and this is probably really important. Within 6 months, I brought over $18 million worth of annualized business.
That's seafood. Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the bigger part of the story, right? It was just like, oh my goodness. They really didn't treat their relationships very well when Cheesecake Factory, who's one of my biggest and my most cherished customers, says, we're leaving. We're coming with you. And I'm like, when? And they go, right now. I'm like,
now.
Okay, this is like December of 2018. I go, I don't have anybody set up as a customer. I don't have this. I don't have that. They go, stop. I said, we want you to know something. We're going with you because you make our problems your problems.
Right.
Not the other way around. And they said, we'll support you. We understand this is a challenge. Go take care of it.
This is great.
We did. And the company that I left that bought us, oddly enough, went into receivership in February. And every one of those customers that I was trying to talk to immediately went, okay, what do we do now? And we went from basically $0 September 10th to $18 million annualized by the end of February of 2019.
That's great.
And and it was great. It was fantastic. And things were rolling along, and I'm learning more about the meat business, but I'm still the seafood guy. And then all of a sudden, this little crazy thing comes this year called COVID.
Yes.
And the rest.
And how has that affected?
Well,
your
if
world?
all I sold was seafood, if all I was selling is seafood, to the restaurants, I'd be on the corner with a cup and some pencils, because it's the thing that seafood, when you're talking about takeout and delivery and things like that, seafood doesn't necessarily, unless it's sushi, doesn't necessarily travel well.
Right.
Fish and chips, we'll be, it's sitting in a styrofoam for a half an hour. That's not great, and so, or any, any number of things. And so when restaurants reduced menus, seafood was like the first thing to go in the places that I was selling.
Right.
And even if it wasn't, these restaurants experienced, an 80+% drop in their sales in March and April, and, until they started to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh my gosh, well, I knew that we had this huge trading arm and we sold a lot to retail. And I knew that, these major distributors were going to be stuck with a lot of fresh meat. And since we sold to retail and the supply chain was kind of broken at the time, I started texting all the buyers at these distributors and said, hey, you've got fresh meat in your refrigerator, your freezers, your reefers right now. and you've got fresh meat rolling on the road right now to come to you and deliver on Monday, Tuesday. I just want you to know we are a buyer. I turned from and you and Joe did that interview with Jay, and I heard it after I did this, so it was super validating. Where he said in the gold thing, where he had the problem, instead of selling gold, they became a buyer of gold.
Right, exactly.
And it was the exact same thing. Exact same thing. We became a buyer, and literally from March or April until, and really kicked in May, but April until June, parts of June, we were still buying product from distributors and turning around and selling it to retailers.
Wow.
And moving and arbitraging product. And honestly, my gross profit number in my plant, if you will, that the business I was responsible for, if I was to take a graph, it would look like the Venmo logo. It literally dropped to nothing.
And then right back up.
Oh, wow. Shot back up. And now I would say that even though restaurants are starting to open, and my chains that my customers like BJ's as well, restaurants, and several others are coming back, and we're selling them. A big portion of my business is now meat or beef and pork and chicken, and just really adjusting my identity to be that guy,
right?
At Porky Bra, and so and Global Protein Group being the food service arm of this thing is perfect for me. But we're selling the meal kit places, so customers like I used to be at Wild Things that are doing lots of meal kits. We're selling a lot of those people. And honestly, Dean, I'd love your thoughts on this.
Okay.
I'm limited to the amount of offers I can make, but people are so, they've got so many things they're concerned with, personally or whatever, is I continue to tell stories about, oh my gosh, we got, pork bellies that are, we're selling like crazy right now, and here's why, and I'll sell that stuff, but I'm so limited to, I guess there's just so, when your cup runneth over, it's like, how do I choose the story to tell today? And am I exhausting my customer base by continuing to tell stories about different items almost on a daily basis?
I don't think people can ever get tired of the stories, I think that the thing is that you've got, would you say, if we were going to overlay the 8 profit activators on your business there, if we were going to overlay it, would you say that the majority of your business is after unit business, that's Profit Activator 7, where it's nurturing lifetime relationships with people, or are you consistently bringing in new customers as well?
Honestly, Dean, it is definitely 7, and I don't want to sound arrogant or anything like this, but I'll be 56 this Friday,
it takes
and
effort. It takes effort for that to be true. There's nothing, that is like you're in a sweet spot of business that way,
Right. And I don't ever have to cold call somebody.
Right.
Again. I've got it. I'm losing money if I'm cold calling somebody. It's the Rolodex. It's how deftly am I working through the proverbial Rolodex.
Right.
Now, even customers that are relatively new, I talk to them like I've known them for 20 years.
Sure. Do you get any? Do you get referrals from these people, or are they in a situation where they don't really mingle with each other or talk to each other, or are they competitors of each other? What happens there?
So they don't. There's not call Jeff Moore for this particular product. It is usually I worked with somebody at a different restaurant chain.
Yes.
And they moved and said, hey, have you, let's call this guy. And so people move all the time. And really, it's kind of the same in the distributor.
Right.
And the distributor. And what I do like these distributors that, they don't have as many sales reps as they used to.
Right.
But you can always go to the buyer.
Yeah.
But instead, what I do is I choose at the distributors. I choose who are their VIPs, and they're usually district sales managers or sales reps that are writing, in excess of $10 million a year.
Yeah.
And I'll go to them and share those stories.
Yeah.
And then they'll go, hey, I've got 100 accounts. This is, we can go here, and sell this. And so I've established relationships that are indirect, but that's how I'm orchestrating. I orchestrate my referrals through the VIPs that are selling these end users.
Gotcha. So how would you estimate I'm trying to get a sense of the scope of your business there. How many relationships would there be in your after unit how many customers are you serving?
I have
how many accounts?
The distributor. I have distributor accounts because they sell to the end users that I have.
Right.
And I would tell you that I have probably more distributors than anybody in this company. I think I'm selling to 80 direct buying accounts. But as far as end user operators, it's smaller because those are chains. But my relationship base is probably a list of, I would say, real strong relationships. I'd say they're probably 50 or 60.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So when you look at this, two things, there's nothing wrong with your business being after you. It's a blessing if you can get to that point. Like all these financial advisors have business that's very after unit based,
right.
And all the anything with a recurring element is after unit based. So the goal is to get to that point, right? That everything is moving along. Now, what I look at is I'm wondering then what's the what level of capacity do the ones that you already have? What level of relationship depth do they have? Would you say that you're getting 100% of the business that they have? I don't know whether
not even close. Not even close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. When I'm working like Cisco Food Services, before pre-COVID was $56 billion corporation. So, U.S. Foods is $27 billion or $30 billion or something. I mean, so it's not even, on the distributor side, on the end user side, I might have 2 or 3 items in these end users with the opportunity, always to do, 5 more. But, they have relationships with more than just me as well.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder about that, the whole, one of the most impactful things that I heard was about Gamal Aziz. Do you ever remember me talking about him? The guy, Gamal Aziz, was the guy who took over the MGM Grand when he left. What's the big hotel? What was the fanciest hotel in Vegas at one point?
At one point it was Bellagio.
Bellagio.
Venetian.
That was it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. He left Bellagio and went with Steve Wynn and took over the MGM Grand. And one of the things that he did was he, had a process where he looked at all of the components of the business, all the revenue producing components individually. Like he broke it down to restaurants and gaming and conventions and hotel rooms and retail and entertained the shows and all of that stuff, all the revenue generators. And the one thing he would look at is, instead of looking for an opportunity for, 20% improvement across the board, he would ask the question, how high is high? Like, what's the most that we could be doing in this arena here. And that really led to some interesting kind of thought processes, because he would look at the restaurants, for instance, and say, okay, we're doing well. Our flagship restaurant is doing $4 million a year, and it's not broken and it's profitable. And nobody would look at it and say, oh, we got to fix that. But he would be in the lobby or the entrance of the hotel night after night. And he would, just pay attention and greet people and see all these people getting into cabs and limos from the hotel. And he'd say, where are you going tonight? And they'd say, we're going to Spago, or we're going to Nobu, or we're going here. And they would name these hot spot restaurants that you got to go to in Las Vegas. And he knew that if they had a destination restaurant, a celebrity restaurant in their hotel, that they could have people stay there, because they're the biggest hotel in the world, 5,000 rooms. So people would stay there, or people would come from other hotels to come there for dinner, and that they could be doing $8 million a year instead of $4 million in that same footprint, the same amount of space. And the distinction that he made was that he treated that $4 million as a loss. So he said, right now, we're losing $4 million on our $4 million profitable restaurant because we don't have a celebrity chef and a destination restaurant. So he went to the board and he got them to approve him ripping out the restaurant, partnering with Michael Mina, and opening Nob Hill. And the first year out of the gate, they did $11 million in sales.
Oh, wow.
And then he continued to do that whole thing. I mean, he, ripped out they had the show FX, which they'd alternate with Tommy Tune and David Cassidy. It was a staple of Las Vegas, right? And he knew they were doing $28 million a year in ticket sales. And he knew that if they had a Cirque du Soleil show, that they could be doing $80 million a year. And so he went to the board again, said, let's get rid of this, cash cow show that we have, and let's partner with Cirque du Soleil. So they ripped it all up, same size theater, same everything, partner with Cirque du Soleil, and now they do over $100 million a year in ticket sales, because he felt like they were losing $50 million by not having the best show that they could possibly have. And so he went through every element of those things, and it was quite an amazing, way of thinking. It's been very impactful, and I remember the details of it because that was all the way back in 2006 that article came out, and I still talk about it to this day because I'd never heard anybody think about how much you're losing by not winning that excess capacity. So whenever somebody has an after unit thing that is, based on relationship, that's what I always look at. If you say you've got 50 relationships there, is just on your self-assessment of it, looking at them, what percentage of capacity could they, how high is high on that? What could the depth of that relationship be for you?
Absolutely. That's a great one. I wrote down, how much am I losing by not winning?
Right, exactly. By winning, because otherwise you feel like you're winning, because you wouldn't say. That's the thing. It's not even by not winning. It's how much am I losing by complacently winning?
Yeah, right.
that you're saying.
That's a great point.
You say you
not.
Right. And that's really the thing, because that's what gets sneaky, is that you say you're applauding the longevity of the relationship, the consistency of it, the fact that you've got this relationship and you're maintaining it and they're consistent. And so in most regards, you would consider that winning.
Right.
But then if you look at it in the context of what could we be doing with them or for them or in collaboration with them, or, how could you make their problem your problem and increase the level of business that you do with them? What could that be?
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that is a, whether that's an opportunity for you, but do you think
it absolutely
that resonate? Like, it sounds like it is? Yeah.
Yeah. It does. And honestly, Dean, I think it's psychologically, when we have these relationships, and like you just said, that I'm proud of these long-term relationships that I have, and these are the components of the relationship. And so my first priority is to maintain and protect that.
Yeah.
And it's almost like I subconsciously, if I alter the frame of the relationship might not be as strong, but that's not true. It's how do I continue to make their problem my problem?
Yeah.
And I think you're the one that actually taught me this one. And in lack of a problem, create one, meaning not to cause a problem, but to help them see that, you don't have any problems. You have no idea how many problems, I'm not saying it that way either, but I'm just saying, what, through the course of asking questions, right? This is what you taught me at the second ever breakthrough blueprint, is you don't go, oh my God, you got a problem here, you got a problem there. It's just asking them questions that will lead them to understand that it is a problem. And it's funny because I do that, but I don't do it as consistently, because it would just be like yesterday talking about these they're called sheet bellies, pork bellies.
Yeah.
And I'm having this conversation with this guy. He goes, yeah, I don't do very much of that stuff. And I said, it doesn't matter. You've got a truck coming anyway. I go, back in my seafood days, we said a little fish is better than an empty dish. I said, if it's 5 cases a week, if it's 5 cases a week, I'll take it. I'm not telling you have to do anything. I go, you already have a truck coming. And then at the very end, he goes, you know what? He goes, I've been getting all this stuff from XYZ. He goes, I'm gonna look at that and give it back to you. Well, the phone call that's going to happen today is, hey, can you give me that list and let me work on it?
Right.
From that guy, and by the way, and going back to the question, what is it about him that has had you buying from him for so long? Was it just availability, or is it, so do they do something special or whatever? And what I'll find is that that's just the way we've always done it.
Inertia.
Yeah. And
so an object in motion stays in motion.
That's true, and so that's powerful. I just need to that type of, and I love that. I'm gonna have that question on my computer from now on. How much am I winning by losing? How much am I losing by winning?
Mm-hmm.
How much am I losing by winning?
It'd be good to calculate, just to see as a motivation. It's a great exercise. It's a really good way to think there, especially in your after unit. Because you've already got the relationship.
Right.
Do you guys, are you consciously growing now, or are you in maintaining, or what's your
no
your grand scheme?
I'm consciously growing. I'm when I have something that works, let's call it sliced 3-bone short rib, right? Cool. And I happen to sell, which are great. They're the things you get at Korean barbecue and that type of thing. They're fantastic. And then somebody will go, well, do you have a sliced chuck roll for the gogi? I'm like, yeah, I do. You know, we got all this stuff. And
what are those ribs that are? I've had. There was this place in Toronto. You mentioned Korean. It's Coco is the place in Toronto, and I was introduced to. Somebody said they were like, I don't know how to describe the cut, but they were thin cut, but they were almost like little tomahawks that were, they were already split, like already, and they had the little bone, but then there was the meat at the end kind of thing.
Those can be like we've done it in the past, the lamb chop lollipop.
Yes,
but that's lamb chop lollipops. Those are
this was real. This was
pork.
Yeah,
or pork or beef.
Beef, I think.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good question. I know that probably sounds like a different cut of a short rib.
They said like a St. Louis cut.
Oh, St. Louis. Okay, the St. Louis rib. Okay, so
what is that? Describe it to me.
I'm going to tell you. Okay, so from the rib, from the beef, from the steer, you have this large rib, and they call it the spare rib, right? St. Louis, and it goes all the way down in notches, like, as you can see how ribs would kind of narrow down.
Yeah.
St. Louis ribs, they square them off and they trim them off. So that would be, and then they would cut those for you. So that would be, a St. Louis rib is a spare rib, but it starts as a spare rib, but then it's just a really
they're
square.
kind of dainty. They're kind of dainty ribs. They're not like
they can be. Those are called light ribs. We call those light ribs in the business.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
yeah.
But they're, so good. They were so good and thin.
They can be if they're cooked well. If they're cooked well, and they're done well. Yeah. So that's what. And Koreans are big into their ribs. That's for sure. So it's a big piece of business, and we do, as far as ribs, spare ribs, baby backs, all that type of stuff. Millions of pounds a week of all.
Wow.
And so for me, like if I'm having, like I was telling you, like the short rib or whatever, and I'm having that success at a distributor, I turn around and say, hey man, we are really crushing it up here in this particular region on these items. Who are, like, can we get together with your Asian specialty person, or are you already buying these things? And let's work together. And so I'll tell the story of, how they've got the Asian specialists going out where they weren't able to ever penetrate this type of business with these we've made it so competitive that they're actually penetrating business and growing in the time of COVID. And they're just like, well, geez, get me that information. So for me, that's how I grow. That's how I grow, Dean. I succeed in one place and then I share it somewhere else. And so when you talk about, do they talk with each other? They do, but I'm actually orchestrating that referral, that word of mouth by saying, hey, we've been really successful here and this is why. So I'm in growth mode.
Yeah. So part of that thing, is the metrics of the after unit. What kind of looking at the I've been calling them proprietary metrics, because every after unit generally has unique way of looking at things, but the basic ones of return on relationship. Like if you look at the people that you have and the the ones that you maintain, or the ones that have maybe not ordered in a while, or that you had but have slipped off, kind of thing, or are all of your relationships on once somebody's in, they're kind of ordering consistently every week or month, or what's the cadence of your relationship with someone?
The relationships the strong relationships that I have that are, that are active relationships with me right now are ordering on a regular basis.
Yeah. What is regular in your, like, what kind of cadence is regular for your?
At least monthly. At least monthly.
Got it. Yeah.
Could be, I got one particular distributor where I'm doing a lot of this Asian business, style business. It's weekly. It's weekly. And so, honestly, Dean, I'm going to tell you that complacency thing rears its head, very quietly. And I think that, even the one that's buying from me weekly, I just know that there's more to do. I just know there's more to do, but I'm like, oh man, they're buying from me weekly. And, and so that's, I don't need to mess around with that. And I kind of look somewhere else and it's like, whoa, hey, wait a minute. And even when we grew from 0 to 18 million annualized, I could tell you by probably almost to the end of the year, I didn't realize how little I was really working. Until COVID hit and I had to really get down and work. And so that how much am I losing by winning is something that I need to ask that needs to be, what am I not getting here? Right.
Yes.
Who's getting my business and how can I capture that?
Right.
Yeah, that's
great.
That's really powerful. But the return on relationships, I'm going to go back through again. There were some that didn't transition over to the new company when I left because there was somebody waiting in the wings. And
I
snapped that up, and they're on a regular cadence with them. But there's business that I do have and I think that's where I really need to focus is that penetration part of the business of what's going on. I mean, one of my national chains that I just buy seafood from me is now looking at a sliced chuck roll for their Philly cheesesteak, just because of the story I was telling. But it was like, I'm not sure that it was like purposeful for me. I'm just sharing those stories and something manifests out of it.
Yes.
And I think I'm okay with that as long as I continue to make offers. When I stop making offers is when I stop growing.
How do you communicate with your after unit? How do you communicate with these people? Is it by email or do you mail them? Or do you, how does it?
Email and phone.
Yes.
And then, getting together. I just started getting together again with people personally, face to face.
Yeah.
And those have been, or mask to mask as the case may be. And it's very, and intimacy, scaling this kind of intimacy, you really, it doesn't scale. I remember you and James Schramko talking about that with my videos that I used to do.
I love
and
that.
how we were all trying to, put the name in there and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you really can't scale that level of intimacy, like that. And so that's really kind of it. I can call customers and share stuff with them. And it's almost like the ones that I'm closest to, if I tried to say, hey, I want to sell you something today, they'd be like, what the hell's the matter with you?
Right.
Like what? And
exactly.
So it's through it's in these types of relationships, there's a purpose for me sharing the story, but it's a natural response, of what's going on. So it is definitely that same kind of intimacy that I seek in those relationships.
Yeah. Then let's talk about your before unit.
Okay.
What before unit? Is that just
okay?
Oh, that's so funny.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Are you doing anything in the before unit, or are you? Is it all kind of growing internal, like after unit stuff? And the reason I'm asking is, if we think about part of the one of the fundamental things we think about the after or the before unit is as a separate business, a separate division.
Yep. Yep.
And I know that because often when you get very busy in the during and after unit, that your after unit relationships are keeping you on your toes, serving everybody, keeping all those relationships happy and everything. So I know that sometimes the initial reaction to thinking about a before unit is, oh boy, I don't have time for that, or I got my hands full here. But the reality is that some of it, we're talking now about people that you don't have a relationship with, right? Like if you've got 50 relationships right now that are doing a really great job with you. Is if we were just to not to actually have to do anything with it, but to just identify a number of potential clients for you, how big is that universe?
Dean, it's uncountable. It's
uncountable, like the stars in the sky, right?
It really is. And honestly, what I end up doing in my before unit is going to those people that are consultants or advisors or influencers and sharing stories with them.
Yeah.
Because all I want at that point is for these guys, even if they're working with a brand new customer, I want them to call me and say, hey, what can you do for me here?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're really carrying, I utilize that influencer model, which I'm a champion of. I use that influencer model utilizing my VIPs and my consultants. And so they might introduce me to people that I've never known before and are comfortable letting me talk to them and deal with that.
Yeah.
And so that's really how I do it. And
how many of these consultants are there? So if you take that's a viable marketplace, right? Like when you look at it.
Yep. Yeah. There's, I mean, if I was to probably look and do a thing in LinkedIn, I could find hundreds of these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hundreds of these guys.
And so it's kind of an interesting thing if you were to think about those guys as a potential target. And I get that because each of them may have many clients, right? Many possible key accounts. Is if when you start to think about those guys, just identifying them, right? How many of them know who you are right now?
Well, I mean, some of my 50 or 60 are these guys.
Okay.
So they know me very well. They've known me for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
But as far as consultants, I don't know if they don't know me, but I'm sure we are 1 or 2 degrees of separation away from having a common acquaintance or friend.
Yeah. Got it.
Because you can't be 4th generation in a food, in an industry and not have connections, that go
right.
Deep.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that would be, they would, if they don't know me, like, know me, they would know of me pretty quickly. They'd go, oh yeah, okay. That type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not in their Rolodex, or you're not. Maybe
I'm not in their Rolodex at this point. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Part of what would think about that is the when you realize who those people would be, right? Like, are there what would be kind of a median or average revenue per relationship like that would come from something like that? Like if you had one of those referred you to someone, what's kind of like the lay of the land on the low side or the high side, median of how much revenue that would be worth if you were to get a new
the low side
customer?
would probably be at about $100,000 a year. High side would be probably $2 or $3 million a year.
Okay. And so when you look at that, then the each one of them, so minimum could be 100,000. But what kind of margins would you say would you have on something like that? That would be
margins are low. They could be low double digit, meaning low like in at 10%. Even single digit, depending on what cut of protein and how much they're moving. I mean, I'll move something for 3 cents, but make $3,000 on it.
I get it. Yeah, no, I understand. So each one, relationship might be worth 10,000 to 200,000 in revenue to you. That's what I mean.
In profit, it's gross profit.
Profit. Right. And with a median around, what I'm trying to get is to do the math on.
It's about 500,000. It's about 500,000. So it'd be about 50K in gross profit.
Okay, so there we go. So if we were to land one, it's worth $50,000. So what I look at is if we were to say to identify, could there be 1,000 of these consultants potentially, or 500, or
yes.
What would make sense, right?
Yeah, I think I mean, honestly, and this to be the truth as well. Somebody that's been lifelong at a, working for a restaurant chain or working at a distributor, and all of a sudden loses his job, has become a consultant.
Yeah.
And so it's what I would say as far as active client client active accounts I would say there's probably worth kind of dealing with. There's probably 300.
Okay, so that's perfect. So let's say there's 300 of them, and what would be really amazing is if these 300 people all had you in their Rolodex. They all had you at the ready, and they knew exactly what you could do for them, right? What would be, this is one of the great things of having what we call visible prospects. You've got visible prospects. You can point to them and say, these 300 people right here, John Jones at Porky Products is a potential guy for us. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can communicate right to them. Do these guys, do they typically, they would have a physical address somewhere that you would have access to through their LinkedIn or whatever? And so part of this thing is to establish a brand in their mind. We need to establish the Jeff Moore brand in their mind. And I don't know whether you've heard me talk about this. I finally have come to a definition of what brand is, because I've really thought a lot about it. It's always a question. What is brand? And I look at a brand now as the acronym of when we say we're trying to establish a brand. That's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to establish a buying reflex affecting now decisions. That's what a brand is. If you do that right, that's what Coca-Cola has done better than anybody. They've established a buying reflex that when somebody says, what would you like to drink with that? I'll have a Coke. Right. Billions of people all over the world. That's the established buying reflex when the now decision of what am I going to have to drink pops its head up, right? So what we want to do is with those 300 people, we want to identify what's going to be the trigger that would be the now decision that we want to be the first thought in their mind for.
Right.
I had something that was, I'd say it was both amazing and startling at the same time. A couple of years ago, in my real estate forum, with our go-go agents, somebody posted in the forum and said, does anybody know where I can get carpet replaced today? Because we have a closing tomorrow and the painters just spilled paint all over the carpet. It's ruined. And my mind, without any conscious thought, Jeff, started singing the Empire Flooring jingle. I don't know whether you get those in California,
yes.
But for years it's 800-588-2300 Empire.
Empire today.
And I realized that message had been smuggled into my brain without my permission and had been living there rent-free for over 20 years, just waiting to get triggered by somebody saying, where can I get same-day carpet? Same-day carpet, 800-588. I mean, that was a reflex.
Empire. That's been in my brain, too.
It was a buying reflex. And I've never thought of it, you know? Now, I just thought about it's going on all around us. When you start to see now, if I ever got a crack in my windshield, I'm sure my brain would be going, safe light repair, safe light replace. I mean,
that's where I went. I got a crack in my windshield. I'm like, I got to call Safe Light. I mean,
exactly.
Is there anybody else?
That's exactly it, right? And so now you look at it and I start to think, okay, what would those 300 people, what would be the now decision, the conversation, right? All these decisions are coming by some stimulus, some conversation. Something is going to trigger that they need to make this decision, or they need to reach out to somebody, or they have a need. What would be a couple of those things, or is there one specific thing that you, if we could successfully smuggle the equivalent of the 800-588-2300 meme into their brain, what would be the occasion that you would want that to be triggered by?
You know, at some point, when they're talking about anything that's walking, flying, or swimming,
yes,
as far as protein, I've got it. You know, that we've got all these taglines
talking about
sitting
where
around.
Do we get it? Where can we get it? I mean, that's got to be the thing, right? It's that they're considering a new line, or they're considering price shopping, or switching, or something, right?
Yeah.
Some new product, or we need something new, or we need some kind of thing, right? I mean, those would be the kinds of things that would be potential.
And that's, we just need to I guess we've been working on the biggest challenge we have in marketing here is articulating what we do and what we mean to our customer, because we are Global Protein Group is literally the company that says, we have all this purchasing power from the trading company.
Yeah.
So we can buy better than anybody, but
Yeah.
we can actually, we can produce this product specifically for you.
Yeah.
So you're not only buying great, because usually if somebody's like, okay, I want this custom product, that means they're going to pay more for it, right?
Right.
Here, we can actually get a custom product and get them a better price, than the other custom product guy, right? Because he's not attached to $800 or so million in purchases. He's not putting over 1 million pounds of meat on the road every single week.
Yeah.
He isn't the top 1 or 2 or 3 customer for the largest pork and beef producers in the world.
Yeah.
And so that's really how to articulate that is still kind of I guess I just did.
Well, I mean, but there it is, right? I mean, you feel like you have insight, hard-earned experience that, would you be the best guy in the world to answer the questions of any of these consultants?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that the way to present that too is, look, in a way, I guess, is to be able to say, look, whether we ever do business together or not, it's my obligation to present options, opportunities, and offers on everything you're doing.
Yes.
And so, it doesn't mean that because I gave you that answer, I lay claim to your decision. I want to be the guy you call first. And so
did you ever see, do you remember the full page ads that was running in Success Magazine, the 9-word email ads? Yeah. Yeah. We've used that format now in a lot of ways with people who, as an opportunity to kind of distribute an article, education to a distribution of few hundred people. Like imagine this is part of the thing is where I was going with that. If you found those 300 people and each month you were able to send them an oversized postcard, that's an 8.5 by 11 size postcard. And on one side is like a full page article, education, insight, analysis, whatever you think would be valuable to these people, right? Like that was the question that I asked when I was writing that ad was, what would I do if I wanted to make this the most valuable page in the magazine? How could I pay for somebody's lifetime subscription to this magazine by them just reading this article?
Wow.
And so that was the 9-word email is the fastest magic trick that I know that somebody can get instantly, test, and get a result, right? So I shared the entire strategy, everything that they would need to know to do it, with an offer to get even more if they wanted to, with a free copy of the Email Mastery book, right? And so I wonder if the way I would be thinking about this is if you were to send a postcard that would be on one side an article like that, insight, education, stories, case studies, all things that are going to be valuable to them, with an offer of some anchor thing, like I've just had a big discovery of of just offering market data to people is something, like I think to offer somebody your report on something prices or on a catalog or some sort of, market data that would be valuable to those people as a way to trigger this conversation for them, But then on the back side of the postcard, do you have a podcast that you do for the industry or for these guys? I mean, that might be a one, the kind of thing.
That could be. Just these guys, the one thing about meat men, is that they sell the same. It's getting these guys. We have the USDA. Actually, you have to, as a packer, you have to post your pricing. You have to post what you're selling things for, and so USDA compiles that every morning and afternoon. Yeah. And so, and Erneberry does the same thing, and and it's funny. Beef, it's what's for dinner. The big, from the Beef Council, they've got they've done all those commercials and stuff like that. They actually take all that information and they put it into, a website, and they update people. But what I'm thinking is that we can tap into the wisdom of some of these guys, and every morning I'm on a call with a guy that we respectfully call the Warren Buffett of the meat business.
Okay. And
he will tell us, but he's one of the guys that if it was more than the 30 people on that call, he'd never speak.
Right.
And so, but to take that wisdom, because I think at some point we're drowning in information, but we're starving for wisdom.
Right.
And to be able to, make heads or tails of stuff. And that's really, you mentioned that, and it's funny because another thing that I started to do, but I didn't do it consistently, is the deep dive report. And it was kind of the seafood thing, really helping restaurateurs navigate the waters in a sea of uncertainty was the tagline.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it was talking about what was going on. And the first edition that went out to just a few people was WTF is going, or WTH is going on with shrimp. And this is a bunch of years ago, where there was a lot of mortality rate stuff, and it had George, the picture of George Costanza saying the ocean called, they're all out of shrimp, and
exactly
all of this stuff, and it was fun to do.
Store called.
Yeah, right.
They're out of you.
But it was, I've had sex with your wife. Those, we could do Seinfelds all day. But I did. It became, I think it was one of those things where we got so caught up in the, at the seventh profit activator, and and the during unit that those tend to lose their way. And I just need to figure out, like, the postcard thing to me is the most simple. It's like, hey guys, every month we put this postcard together. I can, go through my sales navigator on LinkedIn, and we can send this to people that we can start to rent space in their head, whether they know it or not.
And then you offer the same cookies, though, right? So if you think about what would be the triggers, like why would they call you, and make it easy for them, instead of saying, hey, if you want anything to eat or drink, there's lots of stuff in the fridge, that's the equivalent of saying, if there's anything I can help you with, feel free to reach out to me or call me anytime. Figure out what are going to be the things, like, are they going to want to get a price on something? Are they going to want to get a question about a particular product? Are they, what would be something that you could package up as a cookie to make it feel like they're not making you go out of your way for them?
There's a way to make this thing seasonal, not evergreen, but seasonal, where we can have a postcard that we can send to, like, these meal kit places. And the things that we can do specifically for them, and how we can handle, making sure that this product is ready to go by the time they get it, and all they have to do is sort it in their, put it in their boxes. There's ways to do that. It's funny because the would you like a cookie thing for me, I've turned into kind of being a little bit cynical when somebody introduces themselves to me, or they know me, and they go, how can I help you?
Right.
And I'm like, how did you helping me become my burden?
Right, exactly. Why do I have to do your work? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, why are you telling me?
That's the worst. What do you want for dinner? Yeah. Even that. Nobody wants to.
Yeah, I just forget it. I'd rather make my own than tell somebody what I want.
Why are you burdening me with what you're going to fix me for dinner? Right.
Oh my goodness, that's a good one. I'm going to run with that for sure, because you've given me so much. I've taken pages of notes here, and it's just.
Well, I just look at it. You just do the math that if each one of these is worth $50,000, if you get one, that I look at it that those 300, if we can identify them, are going to be the 300, right? That they're going to have a need at some point. And if you take that, let's call it $2. I'm going way out on the thing here, probably double what it actually costs. But let's say that it's $2 each to mail that postcard to them, the oversized, nice postcard to them, that you're talking about a $7,000 investment over the course of a year to do it, that you could mail this way for 5 years.
Yeah. And it's $15 million in profit potential on an annual basis.
That's what I mean, that's the thing.
That's powerful. That's a good one. That's something we need to dig in. And, around here, and right, I guess rightfully so, they have an old website that's out of date. And so a lot of the focus is like, how do we do the website and do that? I'm like, guys, people only go to the website for the phone number commonly.
Right.
Or to validate their decision to buy from you. They're never going there to say, I'm going to start looking to, we need to go right to them. Yeah. Not leave it up to them to find us.
No. I like it.
That's good. I like it too. Dean,
well, it's always fun, Jeff.
It really is.
It's always
fun. It really is, man.
Once every 4 years.
I don't say F that guy anymore.
Right, exactly. That's funny.
That's so funny. You're like, why would you say that about me? I'm the nicest guy in the world. I'm like, you totally are. It's just I was mad at myself that there was somebody that could live by the rules of I know I'm being successful when ...
That's funny.
I use that to this day. You have I know I'm successful with my customer or client when ... Now fill in the bullet points, and they're like, okay, can I get back to you? And then I use the old J. Abraham. You don't have to answer me right now, but if you did have to answer me right now, what would be your answer?
I love it.
Yeah, those are good.
That's great.
Dean, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate
awesome.
you.
It's always fun.
And what you do, and it's just great to hear your voice and talk to you.
Stop losing so much money by winning.
Stop. Yeah, no more winning. I mean, wait. All right, man. Thank you, Dean. Thank you so much.
Okay,
right,
Jeff.
Take care. Bye.
And there we have it. Another great episode. Thanks for listening in. If you want to continue the conversation, we'll go deeper in how the 8 profit activators can apply to your business. 2 things you can do. Right now, you can go to morecheeselesswhiskers.com and you can download a copy of the More Cheese Less Whiskers book. And you can listen to the back episodes, of course, if you're just listening here on iTunes. Secondly, the thing that we talk about in applying all of the 8 profit activators are part of the breakthrough DNA process. And you can download a book and a scorecard and watch a video all about the 8 profit activators at breakthroughdna.com. And that's a great place to start the journey in applying this scientific approach to growing growing your business. That's really the way we think about Breakthrough DNA, as an operating system that you can overlay on your existing business and immediately look for insights there. So that's it for this week. Have a great week, and we will be back next time with another episode of More Cheese, Less Whiskers.